Do you remember what you told me one day in the forum when I first met you? You said you were going to be the finish it for me.
What, the greatest player of all time?
Yes. You remember you told me that?
No, but that sounds something.
No,
that sounds like something I would say.
you actually said that, and then you actually said I'm gonna be the Will Smith of the NBA. This was
really?
Yeah, and I was like, all right, okay,
Will Smith. Yeah, times have changed.
Kobe Bryant is without a doubt a top 10 player of all time, and some would even make the argument for him being a top 5 player ever. Winning 5 rings, 2 finals MVPs, a regular season MVP, 18-time All-Star, 15-time All-NBA, 12-time All-Defense, 2 scoring titles, and the list just goes on and on and on. And he's also my favorite player of all time and always will be. I know you guys probably know me for being a Steph Curry fan, Warrior fan, but the simple fact is that without Kobe Bryant, my love for basketball would probably not even exist because he's the reason that I actually started watching. He's probably the hardest working athlete in the history of sports, and time again, there have been mind-blowing stories to further emphasize just how insane this guy actually was. And so today, we're going to be talking about some of these stories that will further prove just how crazy Kobe Bryant actually was. But before we begin, if you're new here, I'm Double D. I'm a huge basketball fan. I make NBA videos here on YouTube. So if you're also an NBA fan, or just basketball fan in general, feel free to hit the sub button and click the bell to be notified when I upload more videos just like this one. Alright, let's get into the video. Alright, so let's just get right into these stories. So the first one takes place during the Olympics. So on the night before Team USA's first practice day, Kobe told his trainer that he wanted to add bike riding to his routine to improve his conditioning during the summer, and so they decided to go on a bike ride. Kobe, his trainer, and his bodyguard would rent 3 bikes for a bike ride, but this wasn't just some ordinary bike ride. This would be a 40-mile bike ride that would end at 2:30 in the morning. And for reference for my California viewers, this would be the equivalent of him riding from Staples Center in downtown Los Angeles all the way to Huntington Beach. And just a few hours later, Kobe Bryant was the first player in the gym preparing for a full day of workouts. And just to add to the story, let's hear what Chris Bosh had to say about Kobe during Olympic training. We're in Las Vegas and we all come down for team breakfast at the start of the whole training camp. And Kobe comes in with ice on his knees and with his trainers and stuff. He's got sweat drenched all through his workout gear. And I'm like, it's 8 o'clock in the morning, man. Where the hell is this guy coming from? But one story truly shows exactly just how driven Kobe was in literally anything that he did. So this is told from the perspective of Mike Trudell, who's a Lakers sideline reporter. So according to him, there was a ping pong table in one of the rooms, and Mike was pretty good at ping pong since he grew up playing it. He challenged Kobe to a game after Kobe was talking trash to 2 guys that he just beat. And so they start playing, and immediately he sees that Kobe isn't really that good, because, I mean, he doesn't play ping pong. But according to Mike Trudell, he was literally watching every point and learning as the game is going on. So Mike wins the first game, but Kobe wants to play again. And the second time, he did beat him again, but Kobe was a lot closer than the first game. And Mike ends up saying, within 5 minutes, he was taking the ping pong game so seriously. I've never competed against anybody like that in anything, and I played a D1 sport. That felt as intense as that ping pong game. Then, after Kobe lost the second time, he turns to his security guard and says, we need to get a ping pong table ordered so that doesn't happen again. And Mike's finishing thought when he first heard this is, it was my own little insight into what he's like as a competitor, and as a person. That was fascinating to me. So, the last few seasons of Kobe's career were pretty forgettable simply due to the amount of injuries that he dealt with. But if you know anything about Kobe, then you know that he would only miss games if he literally physically couldn't play. He's played hurt, he's played sick, but nothing will ever top what he did just a few years ago. Because while the 2 free throws on a torn Achilles is probably one of the most famous examples of this game is equally as impressive and, in my opinion, doesn't really get the attention that it should. So on January 21st, 2015 against the Pelicans, Kobe was driving baseline for a dunk, and due to contact from Quincy Pondexter, he would end up tearing his rotator cuff in his right shoulder. And so, locker room, Kobe would instead end up playing the game left-handed. And I have nothing else to really say about this because nothing really needs to be said. So let's go on to some times where he talked trash before the game and backed it up. So on November 11th, 2005, the Lakers played the 76ers and a 21-year-old Andre Iguodala, who ended up holding Kobe to just 17 points on 7 for 27 shooting. And so he ended up talking to some reporters after the game and said that Laker coach Phil Jackson told him that it was the best he'd ever seen someone defend Kobe. And so the next time the Lakers played the Sixers, just a couple months later on January 6, 2006, Kobe stopped by the Sixers locker room to deliver a message to him, but he wasn't there yet. So Kobe, being Kobe, told them to pass a message on to him by simply saying, "Tell Andre 50 tonight." And do you want to know how many points he scored that game? 48 points on 19 for 29 from the field. Now, I just want to take a moment because even though he didn't score 50, do you understand how hard it is to score 50 points in an NBA game, just normally? But then to tell someone that you're gonna drop 50 on them, and then to go out and almost do it, that's just... jeez. But this next one follows the same theme. So, in December of 2006, Gilbert Arenas had the game of his life by scoring 60 points on the Lakers and setting an NBA record of 16 points in overtime alone, which is a record that still stands today. And so, when the Wizards are on their plane about to leave, Caron Butler calls Kobe since they were good friends, and that's when Gilbert says, "Hey man, who you talking to? You talking to Kobe? Put him on speakerphone." And for reasons that I will probably never understand, he decides to say, "Hey man, if you're the Black Mamba, then I'm the Black Mongoose." To which Kobe responds, "I'm gonna remember that when I come see y'all in DC." And so fast forward 3 months to February 3rd, 2007, where the Lakers are playing the Wizards. Kobe doesn't shake anyone's hand before the tip-off. Instead, he goes over to Gilbert Arenas, pats him on the back, and said, "Remember, you asked for this." Kobe then goes on to score 32 points in the first 3 quarters and finishes the game with 39 points, while Gilbert scores 37, but he did so on 9 for 29 from the field, and 3 for 15 from 3. That's, yeah. But this last one is probably the craziest of them all, and will only confirm just how crazy his work ethic actually was. The story is told from the perspective of Gerald Henderson, who played against Kobe quite a bit in his career, but this was one of the first matchups in 2009. So Gerald comes to the arena to get some shots up way before the game, and in typical Kobe fashion, he's there first, because of course he is. And so Gerald starts paying more attention to him because, I mean, he's a rookie at this point, and this is Kobe Bryant right in front of him working on all his moves, so, he could learn some things. But Gerald notices that Kobe's missing more shots than usual, but at first he didn't really think too much of it. But that's when Kobe looked up at the rim with the ball in his hand looking confused, and he motions over to the sideline. From there, a bunch of workers come out onto the court, and Kobe's talking to them, and one of them eventually brings out a ladder. And so that's when Gerald finally comes out to center court and asks, "What's going on?" To which Kobe responds, "Something's wrong with the rim. It's too low. It's a 1/4 inch too low." To which Gerald responds, "Huh? What do you mean? I was missing shots that I don't miss. I'm pretty sure it's low. 1/4 of an inch." To which Gerald admitted to thinking, "Dude, Kobe, maybe it's not the rim. Maybe you're just missing shots." But anyway, Kobe goes back to his shooting routine after those guys do whatever they did to the rim. And that's that. Then they, play the game, and then after the game, Gerald sees one of the guys that was working on the rim before the game. And so he asks him, "Hey man, what was up with the rim before the game?" To which the maintenance worker responds, "Oh, someone notified us that it was a little lower than regulation, but don't worry, we adjusted it to 10 feet. And in Gerald's own words, then he told me how much it was off by. And I could tell you his answer, but I think you already know what he said." Now, I just want to take a second to talk about this. Do you understand how small 1/4 of an inch is compared to a 10-foot rim, or even just how small it is in general? Think about... what? Think about the size of a pea or a pencil eraser. That's roughly how big a 1/4 inch is. And he knew it was off even by that little amount because that's just how much he worked on his shot. This man was so far beyond just the word great. He was legendary. Like, we're talking about the man that counted 400 made shots after team practices before he actually left the court. This is the guy that would, quote, be in the gym at 6 a.m., take his daughters Natalia and Gianna to school at 8, then come back around 9 to shoot some more. And no one would have any idea he's been in the gym working for 3 to 4 hours. This is the guy that, while coaches were talking, he would be there doing basketball moves without the ball in his hands. I'm serious. Listen to Shaq here.
No, man. Just stay there. Just give him a place. So.
All right, guys. You know, here he is on the double and the pick and roll. And every pick and roll, what we're going to do is we're going to double the pick and roll. And then once he rolls to the basket, I want you to double down from the top. We're going to double down from the top on the other thing. And we're going to act. So that's what he was.
So what was Del Harris doing
We all
saying as this was going on?
We all just looking like, what is this kid doing? Like, what is it? Full speed, sweating, just pump faking and moving around so we're without a ball.
I remember you
Talking to herself. You can't call me. like just talking to herself. We're like, me, Fisher, Fox, we're all looking at him like,
And this is your rookie.
yeah, he's my rookie.
This is the guy that would shoot at 5 in the morning in a gym with the lights out, and it just goes on and on and on. So I hope what you can take from this is that if you want to be great at something, you really need to work at it. So much so that people might think you're crazy. But one thing's for sure, if you put in all the work, it will all eventually pay off in the end. I want to end this video with just a quote from Mamba Mentality highlighting this, but Kobe said, "If you really want to be great at something, you have to truly care about it. If you want to be great in a particular area, you have to obsess over it." A lot of people say they want to be great, but they're not willing to make the sacrifices necessary to achieve greatness. They have other concerns, whether important or not, and they spread themselves out, and that's totally fine. After all, greatness is not for everybody. But with all this being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you're new, hit the bell to be notified when I upload, comment down below what you want to see next, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.
Being out on the floor with him, like I knew he was hot, and I would look up and see like, dang, that scoreboard looks broken.
That's 75.
Because like there's never 75 next to somebody's name.
The most important thing, I think, for players that come after me is you don't want to ever limit your imagination because people may think you're crazy, but if us as athletes don't think that it's possible to do these things, how in the world can we inspire people?